The game of the hour, the release date, or the release embargoes went up this morning.
Review embargo.
Review embargo.
What did I say?
Release embargo.
It's the same thing.
Nope. No, it's
Review
not.
embargoes went up this morning. Our very own Lucy James over in the UK reviewed Persona 5.
Yeah.
Last week, we talked about, could this be your first in the series? I'm back to answer that question. Yeah, it can.
Wow.
This is my first game in the series, and I'm really liking it. I played it till 4 a.m.
Yeah, he came in the office. He's like, I love Persona. It's so cool.
I like ripped my clothes off and started chanting. No, just kidding. I want to ask you guys what your personas would be, but we'll get into that, of course. Anyway, this game released in Japan how long ago?
I want to say last December?
No,
September.
I think it was September because everyone went to TGS and came back with copies.
Yeah.
And everything that they were saying based on that version was phenomenal game.
I can't read Japanese.
Yeah. I think the story's good. I don't know. But yeah, this game is fun. I mean, I like it a lot. Like I said last week on the lobby, I don't know the series. I really like,
what surprised you about it?
It actually, at first I was kind of like, I don't get why people like this. I mean, it was fun. I have a few things I want to talk about, actually. It's subverting a lot of my expectations of, I know sometimes you think this is a problematic term, JRPG.
I don't think it's a problematic term. I just think it's a dumb term.
Okay. Well, for the intent of this conversation, I like Eastern RPGs, that style, as opposed to...
Oh my God, that's worse. Just say JRPG.
I like JRPGs. I enjoy, like turn-based, kind of grind-heavy RPGs. I don't play them as much as I would like to because, like nature of our job, we have to play a lot of games, but...
They're very time-consuming.
Exactly. And I actually think this game makes that grind interesting and fun. So for those who don't know, there are like kind of two sides to the Persona games. I mean, Callie, you played a lot of these. You want to...
Well, yeah, I mean, there's the traditional JRPG going into like a dungeon sort of area and doing a turn-based battle, and then there's the slice of life, a little more anime, like you're a high school student and after school you get to kind of choose your activities, and that's been expanded a lot in Persona 5. There's more stuff you can do. So yeah, there's like two sides to it, and you can get to know your compatriots. I don't know why that was the only word I could think
Confidants.
of.
Sexy friends.
But they call them confidants in the game.
Yeah, our cool high school friends. And so I like that kind of balance. I think I said this last week, but I love slice of life. And I just love having kind of that, not respite, because I don't think the rest of it is like a chore or anything, but just having a step back to breathe a little bit and explore Tokyo and get into the world a little bit more in between, what you're converting people's hearts, you're fixing bullies and stuff. There's the whole thing.
Yeah, like again, to clarify, Lucy James, who reviewed it for us, she loves the series and or she's knowledgeable about the series, and she knows what Persona 5 does differently. For a more in-depth look at that, please read the review, watch the review. I don't have that same history, so I wanted to approach it with you guys kind of asking me questions about my first experience with the series. And the one thing I like about it, when you mentioned those slice of life, that social aspect, I didn't really enjoy high school in real life. So why would I care about doing laundry and, being this problematic teenager and going to high school in Tokyo?
Because anime high school is where it's at.
But this game is completely... I didn't know how dark it would get.
Really?
Right off the bat.
Right away.
It's extremely dark.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I see Jean-Luc had mentioned, Jean-Luc knows Persona really well. He's like, yeah, people see this, it's a very stylish game and like acid jazz soundtrack, and then when you get into battles, kind of hard rock.
Very colorful, and like, I mean, you can see now like the UI and the HUD and the menus are all like super stylized in this. I don't even know how to
peel
describe
away
it.
the superficial layer and you find a game that touches on things that most games like don't.
Yeah, it's
like really deep human connections and suicide and fun stuff like that.
And you mentioned those slice of life things, and I was like, I want to play this game, but I don't care about that stuff. But I actually think, because that stuff can be a grind, but in the sense that you're spending all the time, right? So it almost reminded me, and this is a dumb comparison, but this is my first thing off the bat. I was explaining this to someone in our office who really likes Grand Theft Auto, like a lot of people. When you are doing a heist in Grand Theft Auto, you go around preparing for it, right? And as thieves in the metaverse, kind of like the Matrix world in Persona, you are going into palaces, these psychological manifestations of people's inner desires and personalities, and you are trying to find their treasure, which is essentially their core
Yes.
of their desires, which like I said, in this game, some people's desires that they act on are kind of messed up. And so you're kind of exposing these bad people in the real world by going into their psychological metaverse. And as thieves, you're preparing for these heists, so to speak. And that's where the high school stuff actually interested me, because you have a time limit, right? You have like 2 weeks. And I was saying, okay, do I want to go work my part-time job and get 2,800 yen so I can buy a new weapon tomorrow or save up for a new armor later on? Or do I want to go increase my proficiency by going to the batting cages or to the gym?
Yeah.
So then later on, when I have the chance to use that social stat will help me in the metaverse.
I mean, like time management is such a big part of that. Like being able to maximize your time for what you want to do is so important. And a lot of that, I mean, that's something I really love. And it sounds, I don't know, it almost sounds like too nerdy, but I'm just like, I want to make sure I do everything perfectly, that I almost get like, I have to take a break and really think about it. And so it's like even more time consuming than the 100 hours it took everybody to beat the game for review.
Yeah, I think they're saying average is like 105.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And that seems like a lot, but I want to keep playing it for other reasons. But I do like that there is a time limit before you have to go into the palaces, or else you just get game over. I mean, you're doing boring stuff and you're getting to know these characters, which I want to get into as well. But I think that the fact that there is a time limit on these things that I would otherwise consider grinding makes them a little more intense, knowing that you're about to go into this person's palace, or that dude, Kamoshida.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil anything, but these are all memorable people already, and I've only played 8 hours of this game. I think that the characters are also very engaging, but at first I was like, oh, these just seem like JRPG tropes. They seem like RPG tropes in general, and then they start subverting that actually with you have like the punk, like rebel one, Ryuji, and then you have the main characters, kind of the reticent, sarcastic one. I named mine Shooter McGavin. I'm the shooter. And then you have Lady On, who right now, and then you have Morgana, the cat, and it's pretty cool. Everybody has guns right here, and I was, what is going on? But apparently, like, in the real world, those are model guns, but because you're in the metaverse, people see them, they think they're real, and they manifest as real guns in the metaverse. And it kind of gets into some cool, like, Matrix alternate reality stuff, where obviously people who know the series know that your persona will kind of flourish in the metaverse. Pete, you were saying a lot of times it's like the suppressed part of people's real world personality that comes out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least at the beginning. Yeah, that's sort of like your stand in like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, that anime.
Like the actual... Oh, sorry.
No, go.
I was going to say the actual storyline is about a lot of these characters, and because it's high school, I actually think that setting fits, because there are rumors floating around and everybody has these surface level assumptions about people. And I kind of fell into that trap. I saw and I had these assumptions, or at least people had these rumors. You kind of overhear these incidental conversations, and then people have heard these rumors about your character, and people hear these things about Ryuji and how he's a thug and a rebel. And then I found out stuff about Ryuji's home life, and I found out stuff about that actually plays a big part of her character, how people take her beauty and just don't look past it. And then in the metaverse, her like sexuality, actually her persona is very sexual person. It's like almost like you kind of saw it as like a dominatrix. And it's like, I think in the real world she suppresses that stuff because she feels like she has to, and that is when it gets interesting. It takes these character archetypes and actually starts taking what my expectations were of them based on these rumors and these things that they were saying, but then I got to know them through that slice of life stuff, and I was like, holy shit, this is actually really cool to see how that manifests and changes in the metaverse.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, she's one of the most relatable characters for me so far. I'm not very far in because of that, and I relate to that a lot. And I think Persona in general, and especially Persona 5, does a great job of making you want to do the mundane things because it enriches everything. Getting to know the characters and like developing characters is such a strong suit. And I think that the main, like, having to go in and see somebody's core, like what's at the core of them is so cool, and like such a good way to do that. That it, like, I mean, because you were saying you weren't thinking you would like the slice of life stuff, but I think it does a good job of making people who aren't into that more into it. I mean, like I was already like so stoked. I'm like, I'm gonna go to anime high school. Can't wait. I'm gonna take a test. Oh yeah. But I just think it's so intelligently done.
Yeah, I mean, I really actually liked that I kind of started appreciating that those social. So a lot of it's quantified, obviously. You get like a rank for that person's persona. So the closer you get to them, the more you learn about them, it'll go up, and you'll learn new skills through that you can use in combat. Which we could talk about the combat. But again, the writing was enough to. It's like melodramatic in a lot of parts, but it is very anime. I mean, there are anime cutscenes at certain parts.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Yeah, they're
too.
really
they're
good.
Beautifully animated. I mean, there are already. I knew they would be because there are Persona anime already. But I just I was so delighted. It like opens with. I mean, I like that you're kind of thrust into this immediate like foot race opening, and starts like the game starts immediately, and then there's just like beautiful anime lights and scenery. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know the series, but apparently Persona 4 took a while to get in. Like it was very slow at the beginning.
Yes,
it is.
5 just kind of throws you right into it, but it's kind of a red herring.
It dials it back.
Yeah.
For a second. But yeah, 4 the slow burn is the slow start. I couldn't get into it. But this game definitely it invigorates you and makes you very curious what's happening, both for the conflicts it presents and the spectacle at the same time.
Yeah.
Very good at the start. How do you guys feel about the voiceovers? Because I find them to be a little bit grating. There is a patch for Japanese voices, like out.
I cannot play. I don't like playing JRPGs with English voiceover, especially if the setting is super. What?
I don't know.
I thumbs up that because I agree with you.
Especially if the setting is if we're in Tokyo and we're in a clearly Japanese high school environment and everybody's names are Japanese. They pronounce Sakamoto as Sakamoto.
So
and
that's super annoying.
I've
noticed
so
that
much.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to be able to switch to Japanese VO. It's not like hurting the experience for me, but it is like it.
Ryuji's voice is really kind of rough.
Yeah,
I thought so. He reminded me of like an old Ninja Turtles cartoon.
Well, so that happens a lot with anime dubs of thug-ish characters, like when you're the thug archetype. There's actually another anime where the thug character's name is Ryuji that I'm thinking of, where the dub voices are just like they try to lean too hard into the anime archetype, and so it just comes off as so grating. And I think it's like something that gets lost in translation literally, where it's like, for example, when Osaka Ben gets translated into like Southern dialect in English, it's like, that's not quite right.
Right.
And that's
the sentiment is there, but the execution doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we get that Osaka's supposed to be like backwoods, like in theory, but the Southern accent doesn't work, and so it's very similar in English.
Is that where the main character's supposed to be from?
No. That's just an example of things that in dubbed anything that's been translated from Japanese to English.
Yeah.
When you're trying to translate something like Yakuza dialect, when you try to sound like a New York gangster, it's just not right.
Well, and there's a quality that, especially with Yakuza, with like the rolling of the R's and all of that, and the gruffness.
Like ore to aniki, like.
Yeah, like it's why change it? You know, preserve it even if the language is different, because I think there's some sentiment behind that stuff that you need.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't have a crazy amount of time left, but I do want to get into the dungeon crawling combat. So how far are you into it?
I'm not very far, honestly. I played like 4 different games yesterday. I'm juggling.
Okay, so I've done the first palace, like dungeon crawl. I've gotten the first treasure. The treasures are the core of their desire personalities, whatever they say.
Really quickly, it is notable that previous Persona games were procedurally generated dungeons, and this only has one area that's procedurally generated.
For grinding.
Yeah, for grinding area. It's like mementos, I think.
Yeah.
They're all like hand crafted dungeons.
Yeah, and I do like it. The combat they do a cool. I didn't realize how hard this can get if you don't don't prepare for the palace, the crawls. If you don't have enough items, especially I've been for like action points, I've been low on. So I've been using melee.
Hey
and
guys,
you have limited ammo.
We got a wrap.
We don't have a ton of time left, like I said, but I think the combat's great. I love fusing persona for the main character. You can actually create new persona. You'd have to kill old parts of your persona to fuse them with new ones to make, like different, kind of classes of Persona and get different abilities and everything.
Just to wrap, I guess probably my favorite thing is the negotiation stuff that you have to do when you get to like play with demons and like sort of figure out like how you can take advantage of them. But they often turn the tables and take advantage of you because they think, because you think that you know everything. But
you can say, give me an item. It's a hold up. If you stun everybody in the party using elemental weaknesses or getting critical hits or using weapons when they're weak to them, everybody at party like goes and points the guns at them and say, give me an item, give me money, or lend me your power if you don't have that persona yet. And they'll say, I have to see if it would be a good fit or something like that. And the higher level ones will ask more riddles than actual just flat out show you their personality. So this one guy, I can tell he's just mischievous. So I just did and you have like 3 response choices. And if you make a bond with them right there, then you can get their persona and down the road fuse it with another one to make it stronger. And I really like those. Or you could just do an all out attack when everybody just fucking destroys them. Like I said, you can go watch the more in-depth video review and read the review by Lucy James. Her and Tamor put a lot of time into the game. Miguel Concepcion here played a lot of it, and he's been doing a lot of guide stuff and capturing for us. And we're gonna have more Persona 5 coverage on GameSpot.com. So stay tuned for that and go play this game. It's fun.